Hi, you're watching A Better Day, A Better Life, and I'm your host, Debbie Givens. This show, the purpose of our show is to help you wake up to your spiritual consciousness and to give you tips and advice that you can use to have a better day and live a better life. I have with me today two guests who were on my very first show, and that's one of my favorite shows. It's a very lightning discussion that we had, and I brought them back. They are DaShawn Pretlow and Blane Charles. Gentlemen, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Thank you.
This is great to be back.
I know that we were able to coordinate.
Right?
Yeah.
And that was really something. I've played that show, by the way, over and over, and I've even watched it on my own computer. And one of the things I love about it is that we talked about life. We talked about, the current condition that man has here, and particularly in the United States, in New York, and what people should do in order to make their way to a better day and a better life. We talked about employment because this was 3 years ago, and apparently it's a seemingly rosier, but it's still an issue, and the whole idea of skills and that we're all really entrepreneurs, selling our services as opposed to trying to work for someone, because you're not going to get rich working for somebody else. No. You're helping somebody else get rich, But we had come together because of SGI and the Nichiren Buddhism and the chanting the Nam-myoho Renge Kyo, and I was looking that up on the website, and the whole idea of it is that the Nam-myoho Renge Kyo, the chant, is the title of the Lotus Sutra, and it is to put you, I call it vibrating, with the essence of what the Lotus Sutra is, the wisdom that's in it, but I use it to change my vibration, especially when I'm feeling negative or, I feel like things are going poorly for me or I'm having a bad day, and the whole idea of just trying to change the direction of the energy of the day.
You have to. If you don't change that direction, and we know that as the fundamental darkness, and it is very prevalent. And there are times where your day goes really well, and then there is that one obstacle in your path that it changes the course of your whole day, where you're just like, great, it went from sugar to what real fast. Like, wow, now what? And for a lot of people, they will just dwell in that negative moment, and then it's just the domino effect. Whereas when you have, when you use Nam-myoho Renge Kyo, and it's what we call daimoku. Daimoku is just one powerful and amazing phenomenon that, it's like medicine. You know what I mean? Like, I wish, when you have a cold or the sniffles, it would work that fast. But when you chant daimoku and you get that rhythm going, you then get that energy where you just know that, as the mantra for SGI is never give up.
Wow.
And it's true, because a lot of times people right now, with everything that's going on, especially here in New York City, where the cost of living is increasing, but your wage is not increasing at the same rate that the cost of living is increasing.
Right, so it's very stressful.
It's very stressful, and people are kind of feeling like, okay, when do I get a break? But then the thing is that, as we learned through Nichiren Buddhism, is if you did get that break, would you really be appreciative of the things that you have or that you work so hard to get? If everything was easy, then where is the gratitude? Where is the appreciation?
And where's the forging of the diamond-like self?
Exactly.
Because that's what it's all about. It's about really forging that diamond-like self, that indestructible self. I mean, when you think about it, the title of the Lotus Sutra, Nam-myoho Renge Kyo, also is a summation of all 28 chapters of the Lotus Sutra. So that's pretty powerful stuff.
Wow.
Exactly.
And I always like to refer to it as using the analogy of when you want to get someone's attention, what do? You call their name. So this is getting the attention of the universe and calling out its name. So it's pretty powerful stuff. Really, and then when you align yourself with the universe, then you're pulling yourself up into a higher life state where you tap into those qualities that get repressed in society: wisdom, joy, compassion, courage.
Definitely, and definitely all four of those. And we'll go negative in a hurry. You feel defeated, you feel like things are working against you, and then of course you keep generating that because you can even get depressed about what's happening to you. And I realized that in the series of things that happened to me this year that have really stressed me out. And now that I've gotten to this point, I've been in a shelter for a while, and I saw the other things that were happening around me, and I said, okay, there's a reason for this, and many people that I talked to, including Madeline Frazier, the person I told you that was going to be here joining us, she could see right away, oh, that you're here for a reason.
Yes,
First of all, you and I were
absolutely.
supposed to meet. This was supposed to happen. This is supposed to happen.
Yes.
It also getting to that low, having to live in a shelter, also protected me from something that could have happened to me. I could have been victimized by
Right,
somebody
yes.
who would have taken advantage of me had I had my own shelter.
Right.
And so I'm a lot more grateful for it. I'm still trying to understand it, and I think that's what we go through in trying to understand our journey and the things that happen to us that make us depressed. We have to. You realize that you have to stay positive and you have to stay focused. This is what people kept telling me as I was dwelling in my misery of what was happening to me, and that's why my sister said out of the blue, she says, you have to go back to chanting.
Wow.
You have to chant. And she said, you know, whatever that is, because that nam, whatever you do, the reason she doesn't know it, she does Tibetan Buddhism. And so there is chants for everything, including the cold. And, you know, you'll chant on some water and then you sprinkle the water on you, that sort of thing. So
one of the things I wanted to share too is that, you know, that's why we chant in the morning and the evening, to stay in that higher life state, that higher life condition.
Okay.
Because in the morning, I like to think of it, in the morning I get up to set the tone for the day. Because sometimes I wake up in an anxiety fit. You know, I'll wake up like, oh my goodness, like.
Me too.
You know, just thinking about all the things that I don't have. And one of the other things I wanted to stress is that we need to focus on what we do have. And we have a lot. No matter where we are in our lives, we have a lot of fortune.
They
and
always
protection.
And they always talk about doing a gratitude list. I just did. I just did one yesterday, between yesterday and today. Again, a situation with a relationship and some things I had discovered, and I said, I started the line, I am lucky that. And then when I was finished, I had 10, 11, just based on that one relationship that was really bad, but I'm lucky it didn't last longer.
What you learned about yourself out of it also.
Exactly.
And that's where we get to the evening Ganya, where we chant in the evening out of gratitude for today, or for the day. And also I love it because it's not like every day is going to be perfect. But Daisaku Keita, one of the most favorite things he says to me that I always remember is, if you lose today, win tomorrow. If you lose today, win tomorrow. With that kind of never defeated, never give up attitude. And so then at the evening, we chant out of gratitude for the day and whatever lessons we learned, and we get to sit down and redirect or refocus. Okay, so I didn't get this done today, or I'm going to try and do it again. I'm going to shoot for it tomorrow. I'm going to go for it tomorrow. And it just keeps you in that positive frame of mind, just like the gratitude list. I'm in a circle. Vanessa Nishikubu, one of our members in my district, started a gratitude circle, and it's like an email group, right? It's like 10 of us. Every morning we have to email each other 10 gratitudes. And that keeps us accountable. It also shares, we're able to share our life with others. We're able to help and learn from each other, celebrate with each other, support each other. It's really an amazing thing. That was, but I mean, before I did that though, I've always, Oprah's one of my mentors, and when she told me about the gratitude journal, I've been keeping a gratitude journal ever since. So I do that, but that's in the evening before I go to sleep. I have to write 5 things I'm grateful for.
And do you find you sleep a little bit better when you do that?
Oh, I sleep a lot better.
Excellent.
But speaking about mentors, like Blane hears me talk about it often. Blane is one of my mentors. Like we were talking about before the show started. When my aunt introduced me to the practice, and we started coming to the cultural center together, one of the first people I met was Blane. And I remember when Blane used to live down the street from the cultural center. And by that time in my practice, I became a young men's division leader and everything like that.
We were in youth division together, that's right.
In youth division, and I went to one of Blane's tosos.
No, I haven't, and I want to know what that is again.
It is amazing because tosos are great where, you know, when you open up your home, and you have members come in and you offer, one of the greatest, to me, one of the great blessings is when you open up your home and you share your gohanzen with members, and even if you have guests who are not familiar with the practice, but you know, tosos where, you know, we're doing straight, fierce daimoku,
for an hour
you know,
or more.
you know, if you know that you need a new job, if you need things necessary in your life to make everything function and to make sure that you are taken care of, because you realize also through the practice that you're responsible for yourself. And the thing is that we all need the catalyst to keep the momentum going. And I tell you, I went to that tozo and I was like, okay. And my aunt said, well, how was it? And I said, Auntie, I said, it was amazing. And she says, yeah, she said, because you're laughing. She says, because, yeah, Blane is, I said, he is. I said, he's fierce because it was amazing. I walked out feeling like, fresh pressed new money. And I was just okay. And I was just like, I have to do more. Because it was cool. When I received my Gohanzen, the appreciation and the gratitude list, I didn't call it that. It was just like, those were it was like my to-do list of things that I need to get done. And I used to sit it on my altar, and it was amazing how I made sure I was determined. I needed to move out. I wanted to get my own place. And the first thing I did when I got my own place was I made sure that I opened up my home. And everybody would love it because, when I would be here working, and sometimes we would start tosos. I'm like, listen, I'm on my way, but Aunt Barbara has the key,
That's
let him in.
Yep.
And when I would walk into my home and most of my district is in my house chanting, they watch me walk through the door and they just stop and just give me a round of applause. They're like, thank you so much. And I'm like, oh my goodness, this is so cool. I don't know why you're thanking me, because it's just, I feel like it's
your benefit.
It's paying it forward.
Well, it's two things. It's you pay it, but it's a gift for you, and it's a gift to the people that came over. So it's like a dual gift. And
it really is.
Wow.
And you feel so much better, because you get people who are just saying. One of my members, and I love her, Joyce. She said to me one day, we went to her home for a meeting, and they're big on putting the youth out there. So I was doing daimoku. And she said to me afterwards, she says, DaShawn, she says, you chant like your life depends on it. I said, because it does. It does. It is just, it's not that it's hard to explain, but it's just that when you chant and you get that rhythm going, and it's the energy that you feel, when I was really very, very, very in the beginning, true Pisces, I was like, I gotta see if this thing really works. So I did it on purpose. I didn't chant for a week. Just to see. Not that I was skeptical, I didn't believe it didn't work, but I was just like, what if? I want to know, true Pisces. I was like, I just have to see, what is the opposite?
Yes, that's exactly it, Pisces.
Baby, I said, wow. I said, and
you
then
see
it
a
made
difference.
me understand. When my aunt introduced me to the practice, I was 14.
Okay.
Wow.
And, that was at a time when 2 years of my life, I had lost my father. And she saw it. She saw that I was at a point where I wasn't the same that everyone remembered me as. Because, I was angry. I was growing up now without my father. And I had a lot of, in my brain, it was like, this is not fair. This is not cool. What could I have done? And we are very big on shakabuku, where when you introduce the practice to someone, and I like that because our mentor, Daisaku Ikeda, said it's very much like planting seeds. And the thing is that you don't push the issue of when you introduce someone to the practice, when are you going to do it? When are you going to do it? When are you going to do it? You're going to do it now? You're going to become a member now? No, you plant it, you lay the soil, and you make sure that you water it, you take care of it, and as that grows.
A gentle care.
And it's gentle care, and that's part of Soka care, where you take care of not only yourself, but the members and everyone around you. And it's amazing when you see someone that you introduce to the practice and they receive their gohanzas and you get really emotional. But it feels good because people see it through you, working here. People just say all the time, thank you so much for being you. Thank you so much for, and at times I'm very much all the time, why are you thanking? And I think, whoa, wait a minute.
You have to understand what
you're doing. And then when you understand, when I walk out these doors and you are perusing through this environment, which we call our home, New York City, there's a lot of things flip the other way, where you see why when people encounter folks like ourselves, and they see what you give them in terms of your energy and your time and your devotion.
Well, right,
that
the energy in
they're
particular.
really appreciative. And I'm just like, I'm just being me, but they're just like, thank you so much.
Yeah,
but you're doing the human revolution.
Right.
You're working on always being better than you were the day before.
Than the day before, and that is so
people
true.
recognize that. That's what they appreciate.
And it still looks like a rarity. I mean, not everybody, this human
not
revolution
everybody's
is one
doing
person.
the work, and not everybody's ready to
True.
do the work.
And not
That's why we
everyone's
say,
ready to
we plant the seed, water it, and watch it, and because not everybody's ready, because this is like major work
serious.
to take this
This
on.
is exactly
Well, you see how I'm stopping and starting, and I need to start all over again, right? It's tough to dedicate the time to it. I know though, that the chanting is very important. I needed to change my energy, and you know, so that I can get better thoughts going, and then better things happen. You know, that's the chain.
But don't think that you have to chant a long time for that to happen. It's not the length of your daimoku, it's the quality and the sincerity of it.
Tell it. That's exactly right. And the thing is that you're learning too with the starting and the stopping in regards to your own life. You see what it's like when you started and the momentum in the direction that your life starts to go. And it's like, it's totally part of being human. Eventually you will say, you know what? Yeah. I know what this is like. I know what my life condition is when I do activate that chanting and I'm doing what needs to be done. And the thing is that, and it's so true, I think a lot of us in the very beginning, we're just like, well, oh goodness, I'm not putting enough daimoku in. And it's like, that's
what is
not
that
how,
again? What is daimoku?
Daimoku when you're chanting Nam Myoho Renge Kyo.
Okay.
You know, a lot of us, depending on what it is, you know, in the evening or in the morning, the thing is you put in as much as you can. And it's just like what Blane said, it's not the quantity, it's the quality of what you're putting into when you do that daimoku. You can do daimoku for 5 minutes. But the thing is that if you know that your life depends on it, then the quality of that daimoku, the energy that you're putting into that to make sure that your life condition is at its optimum is what matters.
Yeah, and you could get results.
Some people who will chant for 3 hours. But if their intent is not, you know, serious and not pure and not on point, you know, your 5 minutes has way more power than the 3 hours that someone else would do, where they just, you know.
I'm glad you say that, because I saw it happen. Someone I reminded to do chanting, it turned out he had exposure. He already got his Gohan done years ago. He had a skeptical attitude toward it. I know all that, whatever, you know. But he did it and I did it, I think within days of each other, maybe even the same day. The next day, the money, I mean, we had chanted on money, came to him, but part of my chant was that he would give some of it to me because he owed me the money and he didn't.
Right.
But, you know, but the fact that we both chanted basically for the same thing to happen, not knowing that the other was chanting for it, and that it came to be really just the next day, he shared the information with me, but not the money. So, so my part of my chant did not come forth, but at least it manifested the money. And so, you know, he sort of got faith for 5 minutes that sort of thing works. I don't know if he's been doing that since then, but but definitely the quality and the intent has to be there. You have to be specific.
What you put into it is what you get out of it. And the thing is that what I love about Nichiren Buddhism is that, to me, it's a philosophy that totally demystifies how the universe works. And it's also universal, meaning you could be someone, you know, I was born and raised in a Catholic household. You know, I was the kid growing up. I was a little chunky kid that was an altar boy. I did all that stuff. But I just knew very early on that what I needed in order to, you know, get my blessings, quote unquote, that wasn't it. I always knew that it was something else, but I couldn't answer it at the time. And it was when, like I told you, when my Aunt Barbara put me onto the practice, I never forget it. It was my 14th birthday, and we went up on the Upper West Side, like around 110th Street, up there on Broadway, and it was snowing, it was carrying on, and I went to my first toso.
And a toso is what?
Is when everyone gets together and they're doing just straight daimoku, Nam Myoho Renge Kyo, it's chanting, right? So she wouldn't tell me where we was going, but went to the favorite place, got my little burger and stuff. She knows how I like my cheeseburgers, and, right? Go upstairs, we get off the elevator, and you just hear it. And she laughed because she saw the look on my face, and it was like,
click,
that's it. And that's a lot of times what you hope that people get when you shakobuku them, when you expose them and introduce them to the practice, is that the connection happens. And all I know is when you constantly hear Nam Myoho Renge Kyo like that, and when you're in a room or an apartment full of people that are chanting because they have something that they need in their lives, it is just, it just sends chills through you, because you're just like, that's it.
Now,
that's it.
But what happens when you chant for A and you get B instead? Meaning, you have the intent, I need to, like, you know, scale this wall, or I need to make that train, you know, and the opposite happens. Do you guys ascribe to the belief that perhaps the universe gives you what you need and not necessarily what you want.
Well,
Absolutely.
right, exactly, because what we think what we want is not necessarily what we need.
Right.
Ah.
So, and usually because the Gohanzen is so powerful, our limited way of thinking, we think smaller than what we should really be thinking. Like we should be thinking like unlimited
Yes.
potential, that kind of thing. But most of the time we're just thinking, I just need to get through this month, or I just need to pay my, you know what I mean?
Right, I want this job, but no, but universe has something bigger waiting for you.
Totally.
Yeah.
So
Totally.
you don't get that job, you think, okay, that chanting didn't work for me. Wow, and you get depressed.
There's that moment of doubt,
Yeah, the doubt.
which we all encounter at some point, especially when something drastic happens. And you're like,
Right.
well, why did that happen to me? I've been doing this and this and this and this. It's sort of like when with my apartment in Chelsea. I moved in 2000 when I came back from Europe, living abroad for 10 years, and then 9/11 happened, and so that's when we started the Tosos that Sunday. And I had the Tosos were being held in that apartment every Sunday from
That's right.
9/11 till 2009 when I lost the apartment.
Oh.
So the first thing, fundamental darkness, is like, okay, let me get this thought in his head. So you're like, oh, I made all these great causes in this apartment. Why did I lose this apartment? And now in hindsight, I realized that I had to go through that moment of loss. To really help me to reflect on what it is that was my one evil in my life. Because we have this concept of the one evil that is the root of all your suffering.
Right.
And for me, it was arrogance. And arrogance is just a flip coin of insecurity. People don't realize that, but arrogance is the opposite of insecurity.
Now repeat that whole thing. I want everybody to hear what you said. There's we all had that one evil.
Right.
In some,
Yes.
That's the source of all of our suffering.
Right. In some, I don't know, esoteric arts, for example, like astrology or whatever, cartomancy, which uses the cards, you have a shadow side. The things that take away from your efforts to better yourself or whatever, or to be happy or whatever.
Right.
You called it
The one evil.
but the one evil that,
Yeah.
and you said, okay.
And
So
for
go ahead
me,
and
I was
explain
able
that.
to realize through that process of losing everything that it was my arrogance. Because one of the things that I realized that I didn't do much of was because I had this fabulous apartment and I had this fabulous job and I was, doing
Fabulous.
all this by myself,
Right.
that, I wasn't really big on home visits. So I would like, oh, everybody can come to me, I have a fabulous apartment. And that in itself is arrogant. And then the other thing is assigning your self-worth to the things that you have outside of yourself.
Oh.
So still not really having dealt with low self-esteem and lack of self-confidence issues because of the trauma that I dealt with being raised a Jehovah's Witness and surviving the same organization that excommunicated me, a leader in that organization raping my sister and I. So I mean, there was a lot of unresolved issues. And so through the process of losing everything, I was able to like put myself in therapy, which I should have done a long time ago. And I got the therapy for free, acupuncture twice a week for free. I mean, it was a really huge benefit. And what I realized is that moment when I felt like I didn't have anything was when I had the most fortune in my life.
Right.
I'm glad you said that, because I think that's one of the things that I see in my own housing situation that was similar to yours. I don't know about the arrogance. I didn't have everything. I was busy hanging on to not having my own place by taking a room in other people's places and absorbing their negative energy and stuff like that, and having to fuss over that all the time kept me from my issues. And we have similar issues, the low self-esteem and where it came from, and what these things are doing. That's why I wasn't employed, and that's why I didn't have my own roof over my head. And we finally realized that that's what the root evil
The source,
or
yeah,
the source
the
or
source, yeah.
the
The
shadow
source.
side. And somebody said it to me. He called it. I saw a doctor, and we had a very long, it was just supposed to be a physical exam, and asked me why am I here in a shelter. But we ended up in a 45-minute conversation, and he
Wow.
said to me, you have to deal with your shadow side, low self-esteem, low self-worth and whatnot, because you shouldn't be here.
Yeah.
I said, but of course I should be there, because that's where I get
You
to
needed
discover that.
discover
Yes.
it, right? Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's the other thing we realize about, it's not coincidence.
No.
A lot of things that we experience in life, they're lessons. And the thing is whether you're enlightened and awakened to take on these lessons, like I
learn
agree,
them.
and learn them,
And bounce back up
and
and not
bounce
down.
back
They'll
up.
keep
because
coming back into your life
because
until
they'll
you
come-
learn them.
That's it.
Trust me.
Exactly, and that is
It hurts.
It hurts. But the thing is that when you start to understand the things that you're doing, and it's true. Ooh,
Or doing or thinking, right?
Yeah,
Right.
because
Thinking, thoughts, words, and actions.
Yeah, and the thing is, you realize that words have power. Your
Yes.
thoughts have power as
Yes,
well. And
yes.
so, you know, one of my big things is, you know, when I chant, I always make sure to chant to make sure to keep that in my mind, to stop harboring on those negative thoughts that pop into your head,
Yes.
because then I start doing the whole, well, oh, but what if, and you're like, whoa, homie, you got one of the fiercest
Hello.
allies
Yes.
in the universe.
Yes.
You're good, you know, and I have to use it.
Yep.
Otherwise, you lose it. It's a big mantra we use when I work here in media education. We tell people all the time, if you don't use it, you lose it.
Yep.
And it's the same thing with this practice.
Yep.
And, you know, I started out practice, I didn't have a gohanzen in the very beginning. You know, my aunt laid that seed down, and I was just like, okay, you know, and I chanted way too long with no gohanzen. But then the thing was, is that when I turned 28, at that time I was kind of like, okay, great. So I lost my brother, I lost my cousin. That could be you. Today is here, but tomorrow's not promised.
Right.
Why are you playing? You already know what you have and it works. Stop playing.
Stop playing.
And so, you know, I received my gohanzen on 4/4/04.
Wow.
Wow, you remember?
Okay.
Wow.
And so in theory, right now, I'm 26 and a half years into my practice.
Wow.
Excellent.
And I tell anybody, it was one of the greatest gifts to receive. And to now be 40 and a half, and people look at me and go, you're 40?
I know.
I'm
Right?
like, yes, I'm 40,
Right?
right?
But chanting kept you young.
But yeah, but the thing is
I'm
that
52.
I'm 53.
There you go.
so see,
Look
there
at
you
that.
go.
Beauty, beauty,
Fantastic,
beauty.
that's right. Keep chanting, that's it. But that's
best
the
youth
thing.
serum on the
That's
planet.
Right. Best youth serum on the planet. That's
And you know what
right.
I want to do? I'm gonna at the end of the show, and in the credits, I'm gonna show everybody the address for SGI and
absolutely.
the web address for
Right,
it, and so that folks can
Check it
look
out.
and check
Absolutely,
it out,
definitely
because
check it out.
there's always plenty of videos and literature and even at the store and everything. I'm going to close the show for now, but we can continue to talk afterwards. So I want to thank everyone. I hope you've been enlightened this evening. The purpose of the show is to give you some resources to help you do that. And the turnaround happens from within,
Yes.
not without. So, put down the lottery tickets and really focus on inside.
Yeah.
Blane and DaShawn, I thank you for coming to the show
Thank you for
and
having us.
enlightening our audience.
Yeah,
and I
absolutely.
know you'll come back
Yeah,
because there's so
absolutely,
much
yes.
life to talk about.
Totally.
But thanks for coming to the show.
Thank
Thanks for
you.
watching.
Thank you.